you. Thank you, New York Comic-Con. This is StarTalk. We're gonna... So we're gonna actually record a live episode of StarTalk right now. So we'll have 3 segments, and we'll pretend like we take a break, but we're not actually gonna break. We'll just go straight into the next segment, and you'll know how to play along with that. So let's get this party started, okay? So here we go. Welcome to StarTalk Live at New York Comic-Con! Tonight's topic, we're talking about human augmentation. Ooh. 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 And before we begin, let me bring out my trusted co-host, professional comedian, Chuck Nice. Chuck, come on out here, dude. Where is he? Chuck. Chuck, there you go. All right.
Hey, Neil. Hey, everybody. What's up, Comic-Con? Nerds rule.
And so we also have a professor of bioethics at New York University, Michael Liao. Michael, come on out.
I think it's Matthew.
This is his costume for Comic-Con, just so you know, okay? Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
In his real life, he dresses like Nightcrawler.
And the whole point of this entire episode will be pivoting on the knowledge and expertise of the one, the only Mythbuster, Adam Savage. Adam! Dude, have a seat.
Hey, nerds! How's your con going?
Dude, so, whoa.
They asked me to ask you to raise your mic a little.
That was a Comic-Con-gasm right there that we heard in the 10th row. So we're going to be talking about sort of human augmentation, and I just want to say, Matthew, what do we mean by human augmentation in your field? Because you think about this.
Yes, in your field, not like in LA.
Okay. No.
So to augment is to sort of add something, add some sort of capacity. So human augmentation is where you're adding some sort of additional capacities to our organism. And they're different kinds.
So you...
Like this kind?
Like this kind.
That's one.
That would count as an augmentation. Cars, telephone.
So we've been augmenting human bodies ever since we've had technology.
That's right.
Okay, try to move the mic with your face. So,
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry. One day there'll be an augmentation that will allow you not to do that.
That's right.
Follow Chuck. He's got a PhD in mic handling.
So when I think of augmentation, there's a traditional sort of a Comic-Con sense of that where you might have an exoskeleton or some sort of mechanical extension of the body. That would be one branch.
That's right.
Right? How about if I'm chemically enhanced, is that also an augmentation that you think about?
That's right. So there are drugs that you can take. There are people taking smart drugs.
I like the way you say it. There are drugs you can take. Like this is a new discovery in the field, yeah?
Wait a minute, really?
Yeah.
So,
And then there's also any talk of the marriage of the technology with your human physiology.
that's right.
So these are 3 sort of major branches there, would you agree?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, so Adam, you build stuff. You've been doing this your whole life.
Yeah.
So you are human augmenter prime.
Sure, with a high school diploma, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Diplomas mean nothing here. It is what...
Clearly.
Let's just get straight out here. If we're going to talk about augmentation, and we're going to think about superheroes, We're kind of down to only 2 in that category.
Arguably also my 2 favorite superheroes.
Me too, I think. We're talking about Batman and Iron Man.
Batman and Iron Man, those are my 2 favorite because their secret power is their brains.
And they're human.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we got some people taking issue with this out.
Well,
You can't express that strong an opinion in front of this crowd. That's all I'm saying. But they clearly have augmentations to their bodies in some way or another.
I think it's more they have augmentations to their bank account.
Yeah. You're bringing up, there's a poster that shows all of the philanthropic giving that Bill Gates has undergone in the past, like 20 years,
Right.
$30 billion. And that by conservative estimates, he's saved over 6 million lives. This is as of a few years ago.
Right.
And at the bottom, it says, "Suck it, Batman. This is how a billionaire saves people."
There you go. Yes. But does he have a utility belt?
If Bill wanted a utility belt, I'd make him one.
If Bill wanted a utility belt, I'd be it for him.
All right, so let me ask Adam, how do we define super in this regard?
Well,
Because is Batman a superhero? He can't fly. He can't. There's a lot of stuff he can't do.
yeah, where super gets into the realm of the fictional is in both of the Batman and Iron Man augmentations. Because Iron Man's exosuit, while in any small piece of it is somewhat possible or plausible that there are mechanical linkages you could build that would be self-perpetuating and give you all sorts of extra strength, the idea that it would work without flaw repeatedly is an absolute fantasy. I mean,
Or one might say, a myth.
that's no longer my job. But I mean, there's a reason NASA has never used cables to assist astronauts in their grip or their ability to move the suit, because the engineers at NASA, as brilliant as they are, understand that extra moving parts is extra things that can go wrong.
So you're saying there are a million ways Iron Man's suit would fail, and the movies don't show any of them, hardly.
No.
Right.
And Batman too. I mean, I have actually tried to build a device that shot a cable into a wall that you could hang off of. And then I talked to the government, an agency that tried to build one of these for the government. And they failed in exactly the same way I did.
Okay, I'm old enough to remember Batman in first run on television, and when he had that little device, the gun that shoots the
grappling
dart, I
gun.
said, how does that dart stay in the wall? That's like not happening.
Actually, what I used...
Not happening. No. And wait, see, you got me started on it. then they throw the thing up and then climb up the wall. And I said, they're not climbing up a wall. They're just walking along a flat thing, and they tipped the camera. Because the guy sticking their head out of the window is that all the angles are wrong. And I knew this. Sorry.
I feel you, brother.
You feel
Totally, I'm
my
right there with
pain.
you. Absolutely.
All right, so here's my point. You have these, in the modern Batman, it's really kind of an exoskeleton.
Yeah.
Not an exoskeleton, a body armor, I guess, is what you would call it.
It's segmented body armor.
And so is this, so if between the two of them, who do you think would win?
Oh, Batman.
Oh, no.
Understand.
No. Quick vote, Michael.
I think Iron Man will win.
Iron Man.
Yeah.
Wait.
Tony Stark for life, baby!
Yeah, you're outnumbered, so you're wrong. Okay.
Thank you, one person. I appreciate it. My thinking is that Iron Man would be like, I'm gonna punch, and then he can't move, and Batman's like, dunk.
Okay, the reason why I like Iron Man better is because he builds his own stuff. Whereas Batman he's got like other people who do it for him.
Well, Wayne Industries.
Wayne Industries.
That's who builds all his stuff.
Technically, that's Wayne Enterprises.
True. You are correct, sir.
So Michael, are there any real life examples of exoskeletons used in the world?
Yeah, so the military's been creating these exoskeletons for soldiers. I think, Adam, you probably know about them. Thank you. And they're prosthetic limbs for people who are disabled.
And how are they working the way, like Luke's hand worked in Star Wars? I mean, you know, where you look at the thing. I mean, how are we there yet? Let me ask that question.
Not yet. Not yet.
Can I bring this back though? Like, is there must be an attachment that someone has no arm below the elbow has asked a prostheticist to make, and the prostheticist has said, no, I'm not going to graft a .45 caliber pistol onto the end of your prosthetic.
Right. Or a buzzsaw for a fist.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah.
But that's where we're talking about. That's an ethical problem that the constructor has with the goal of the person who needs the device.
That's right. That's right. So, I mean, right now they're just doing it mainly for treatment for people who are injured, right? So that they can move about. But eventually, you can think of, you can sort of add more things to it. You can add weapons. You can add swords.
I would totally do that.
Laser pistols.
You want to be like a Swiss Army knife human.
One of my sons once asked me when he was about 4
thing one or
years
thing
old,
two?
Thing one.
Okay.
He said, "Daddy, the penis is a very special part of your body." And I said, yes, you're right. And he said, because all children are jailhouse lawyers, he said, is it more special than a foot?
You should have said, son, just wait 12 years.
Here was my metric. I thought, well, let's see. If I lost my foot, I could make an extremely usable, functional replica of it. Yes, the penis is far more important than the foot.
Oh, so this is from the point of view of
Repeal and replace.
Of a remodel maker. Yes, okay. So
I don't know where that came from. I'm not that funny.
but
Can't
Michael,
believe they haven't done it.
so Michael, neurologically, in principle, what is to prevent us the future? We're just not there yet to just rebuild our neurophysiology rather than just our muscles or our skeletons.
Yeah, so there's this thing called the deep brain stimulation. So it's something where you sort of insert a thin electrode to your brain. And
Deep brain stimulation.
Deep brain stimulation. And you connect it to a battery pack and you can control it. And actually about 100,000 people in the world today already use it.
What are they doing with it?
It's for people with Parkinson's disease, depression, epilepsy, and so on. So when they turn it up, they'll sort of stop them from having epileptic seizures.
Okay, so the funding for that would be driven in the future surely by the sex industry. So is there a pleasure center where you press the button and it'll do the same thing to your brain?
Well, so their sex robots.
Deep brain Viagra?
Deep brain.
There's a whole swath of the population that would never leave their house again.
Right.
But DARPA, actually the U.S.
The Defense Advanced Project Research Agency.
They're also really interested in this technology because a lot of soldiers come back from war with post-traumatic stress disorder. So they're using the deep brain stimulation to try to cure or to ameliorate the effects of depression.
So this is just the beginning of what could come.
That's right.
So in the limit, what do you see it in 50 years, 100 years?
Well, eventually, so right now the system, it's called an open loop system, so you control it. You sort of control the amount of electricity going to your brain. But DARPA wants, in 5 years, a closed loop system. And what that means is that it's going to automatically monitor your brain waves and sort of send signals. So say if you're fighting a war and you get really scared, it'll sort of send electricity to calm you down. And so eventually we could create super soldiers.
Now with that, here's the...
Whoa.
Wow.
And that's never going to go wrong.
Yeah, what could happen there?
But is anybody asking, I'm curious, is like, obviously with technology, we're like, driverless cars, bring them on.
I'm all for that, but go on.
So am I, except that we should...
No, I don't have an accept. You're not all for it if the rest of the sentence has the word accept in it. Do we understand language construction, sentence construction here?
I am all for it.
Okay.
However, within humans' adoption of technology, there are questions that come. And so is your department sort of working on like, hey, everybody, when you get to this point, you guys should consult us?
Yeah. So take self-driving cars, for example. There's a big issue about, so say the car's, about to hit 5 people. And
The trolley problem.
Yeah, it's the trolley problem.
It's so not a problem.
And it can veer off and kill you. So how many people would actually buy a car that'll kill you? Yeah?
All right.
So, having a rough con,
Yeah, it's tough. Costume didn't make it this year,
my
yeah.
wig fell off.
But all these sort of AI researchers and programmers, they have to decide like whether to save 5 people or save you, right? And so that's got to be programmed in.
All right, but wait.
Yeah.
So, but there's way more than that.
Yeah,
Before we even get there, I'm thinking, let me just ask, if you could fix, let's say, congenital problems or some other sort of physical problem, either from birth or from war or from accident, and, okay, I get that, are you obligated to do that for everyone? I mean, so the reason why I ask is,
That guy.
there are people, no, it's a serious point. There are people who are who they are because of whatever that disability was. Expressing some point of insight, creativity, some sort of compassion, and they've made a life built on everything that they were or were not relative to everybody else.
Like people, like deaf people who refuse a cochlear implant.
That's right.
Because
Right,
they're
because they already know how to speak.
someone's here who did that?
Yeah, that's deaf culture is its
Okay.
own thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
And so who are you to say?
And it's no less of a thing than anybody else's.
So my question back to you is, what is a future where there could be one culture that puts social pressure on you to conform when there are people figuring out their lives with whatever deck of cards they were dealt?
Yeah. So that's a really great question.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think, I wrote a book on human rights, and I think that
Wait, tell the title of the book. It's a great book. Great title.
it's called The Right to Be Loved.
The Right to Be Loved. Oh, isn't that great? Oh.
So
That almost makes up for you wearing a suit tonight.
Right.
Okay? Yeah.
So I think that for the disabled individuals, they have rights just like we do, and we have to make sure that I think our job is to make sure that if they want to augment their capacities, if they want to, but if they don't want to have cochlear implants, then that's their choice. But in terms of creating new individuals, I think there we can sort of say maybe we have an ethical obligation not to create individuals who lack certain what I call fundamental capacities. So these are things like being able to see, being able to hear, being able to walk about, right? So deliberately creating a child who can't walk, that seems like, so as an ethicist, I think there's something wrong with doing that.
Yeah.
Wait.
You're creating a child that can't walk. You're kind of a dick.
Right.
But what if you let them be born with wheels? Look,
Wait, did you say with wheels?
with wheels?
Okay, it turns out, I think, biophysiologically, it's hard to have wheels. Yeah. No, if you think that through,
No, but
biologically,
Yeah.
you would need something in your body that
I'm
An
trying
axle.
to call. Isn't it in
axle.
one
You
of the
need an
Dark
axle. You need an
Materials
axle.
books?
You need an axle.
In Pullman's Dark Materials books, he posits a creature that actually has a wheel as part of its physiology, or a knuckle that fits a nut that somehow they. Anyway, but this presupposes that that we could somehow lessen the suffering by engineering a being. And the fact is just as you were saying about handicapped people, is true for everyone. We are all a product of both all the good and bad things that have happened to us. And we all suffer. No one escapes from that. Okay, a couple people have escaped from that. That strikes me as an interesting question when you talk about, so now that we can engineer kids, that all kids have 20/20 vision and great hearing and excellent physiology, that somehow is based on this precept that like somehow they'll suffer less, which is really a folly.
Wait, but continue that.
Yeah.
There's all right, let's make sure we don't create a kid who can't walk, whether or not it has wheels. But then, suppose now we figure out how to give an arm sort of bionic strength, to borrow the term. And would you start having people amputate their arms so they can get one of these? And then would we be creating one by one some race of superhumans because we technologically can?
I always loved the Bionic Woman episode where she's in a race car and the wheel falls off and she has to put it back on and she reaches up to the lug nut and goes, I would love my arm to be able to do that.
Would you amputate your current arm to have that property?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Whoa. Let's ask the ethicist. Is there any ethics involved in this?
So I don't think we have to make that choice. So with the exoskeleton.
Well, that's a cop-out. No,
it is a cop-out.
No.
But I think people are going to be able to design things where we can jump in just like we jump into cars rather than having to amputate our arms. Like that would be sort of.
I see. Actually, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Because in the same way, we're not operating on your brain to insert the elements of a smartphone. The smartphone is at the end of your fingertips, and it serves almost the same function. It's just a little slower. You have to tap your fingers instead of having going straight into your cerebellum, your frontal lobe.
There is a theory out there about spider webs being an extension of the spider's central nervous system. And if that's true, then absolutely my phone is an extension of my central nervous system.
It's true. I mean,
The withdrawal that I feel when it's not around me lets me know you're right. So.
And if I want to feel better for a day, I don't look at it.
Have you been checked out for this? Is this?
No, it's just sometimes I have to turn off the news. I can't look at it every day, all day long.
Yeah.
Amen.
I long for the day when I get all the news I need on the weather report. Yeah.
That's a lovely sentiment, actually. I mean, then again,
It's right.
global warming notwithstanding.
Well, that's my point, yes. But that line is right out of Paul Simon. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So did you finish? I interrupted you about augmenting humans just as a de rigueur thing that everybody does in the future. And what would that do for sports?
Make them awesome.
Today, Hammer Fist will go up against Razor Arm.
Yeah, so I think.
And you remember at the end of in the movie Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee, his opponent has these different. He lost his hand long ago. And he has like blades and hooks, and that's part of his weaponry.
Yeah.
Of course, that's low tech.
Right.
But imagine a future where. Now, you'll probably be the first to build one of those.
Well, I'm starting to wonder.
See, I see the thought cloud going in your head right now.
I'm actually wondering if pro wrestling has taken on the idea of this kind of augmentation and
Already.
built it into their narratives. Yeah. Has anyone know? No, they haven't. So I'll build one for one of those guys.
And that'll be the first examples of these
exactly.
in the world. Okay, all
Well,
right.
they kind of already are using things like steroids and, so.
Speak for yourself.
And amphetamine.
Neither of them have ever used steroids, ever.
Probably. Plausibly.
We got to close out this segment of StarTalk live at New York Comic Con. So just thanks for coming out for this, guys. I mean, this is, we love doing this, just bringing a little bit of science, a little bit of academics. And we get Chuck to mix the pot, Chuck. I love me some Chuck. You all love some Chuck? 2 more segments, and then we good.
There you go. All right, well, now that it happened, I was going to wait until the end because I didn't want to disrupt the flow of the show. So last year we did a show at Comic-Con, and it was your birthday. And tonight, it is Dr. Tyson's birthday. Woo! And so, Neil hates when I do this, But what I say to him is, whenever you can get 3,000 people to sing happy birthday to you at once, then you gotta stand there and take that.
Yeah.
Because not everybody can have that happen. So with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tyson. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you. How old am I? So today,
He's made of star stuff, so he's 13.8 billion years old.
yes, as are we all. The atoms of your body are traceable. So I was born the same week NASA was founded. So you do the math. So let's kick this in
Oh my
again.
God, you're like science Jesus. If this is not your destiny, then I don't know
I'm
what
just
is.
saying. All right, in this next segment, we're going to do some genetic engineering, see where that takes us, okay? All right, we're back, StarTalk Live at Comic-Con, New York. Mythbuster Adam Savage with a book coming out next year. What's it called?
Don't give guns to robots.
Good title. I love that title of that
Yes.
book. Matthew, you had a book a couple of years ago. We discussed it in the first segment. I Want to Be Loved. What was it?
The right to be loved.
The Right to Be Loved. That's so beautiful.
It's also a Carla Mae Jepsen song.
Oh, right.
No, I don't think so.
And
Chuck
please
Nice-
don't forget my book that's out on shelves right now. It's called Astrophysics for People in a Hurry.
No, you lying mug. So let's see what genetic engineering does. But before I do that, Matthew, you co-authored a paper on, and apparently it was controversial, about human augmentation and climate change.
Right.
What was that?
So climate change is one of the biggest problems that we face today. And a lot of people are talking about very drastic solutions, something called, for example, something called geoengineering.
I love it.
Yeah.
Give
And
me
this
more
is-
of it.
This is sort of just one example, spraying sulfate aerosols into the ozone layer in order to increase the reflectivity of the planet.
Clouds.
Right? Yeah.
And lower the amount
And
of
lower-
infrared radiation and sunlight coming down to the...
That's right. But geoengineering seems really risky. We only have one planet, so if you destroy the ozone layer, you end up destroying the whole planet. So
The stakes
Apparently
are
only
high.
one person
I don't
is
know if
concerned
they're
about
actually
that.
clapping for the planet being destroyed.
Look, I guess for every issue we're dealing with, someone falls on the wrong side.
Yeah. Y'all worry me sometime. I'm just saying. Yeah.
So I had this. In this context, I proposed something called human engineering, which is this biomedical modification of human beings in order to allow us to mitigate or adapt to the effects of climate change. So just
Wait. That's like saying, how do you fix acid rain? Just give everyone an acid rain-proof umbrella. What? Why is that a solution?
Yeah, so let me give you an example.
No!
No. You have to
There is no... All right, I'll give you a chance. Go.
Okay, so large people tend to use more energy than smaller people, right? And they wear out shoes, quicker. It takes more energy to transport them from A to B. So the idea is, other things being equal.
I don't want to hear the end of that idea.
This car is
You hear how
steering
the
towards
sentence
5
started?
people.
Large people use more resources and energy than small people.
So what I propose is that the small people eat the large people.
Right. There's no...
It's a problem taking care of itself.
So Chuck,
Matata.
that sentence can only end badly.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So you propose... Yes, Matthew, go ahead.
Yes, so we should try to have smaller people.
Wait a minute, man. I just realized I could have been a doctor.
Go ahead. So there's a movie coming out. It's called Downsizing with Matt Damon, Kristen Wiig, and Christopher Wolf. It's exactly on this topic. So they've taken up this idea, so climate change, and they want to downsize it. So they want to create small people in order to make more efficient use. The movie's coming out in December.
But these are really small people. They're like 10 inches tall.
Yeah. So I'm not talking about that small. I don't think that it'd be good to.
No, this is be too small.
That's right.
Yeah, but maybe that. Yeah.
The question is, if you're flying with one, do you have to pay a full extra fare?
They fit in your
Or
lap.
like a whole group of friends camp out in first class. I can see a lot of sequels.
Okay, Matthew, you're completely creeping me out here. So it's just odd that, rather than reduce your carbon footprint, let's just make small people. That's just, I don't know how you live with yourself?
I do.
Okay.
But you're also, so when you take that stance, you're taking it, not take that stance. When you examine that question, you're examining.
Just to be fair to Matthew, he's an academic, so when you're in academia, you explore extremes of theses and see what comes out of it. That's all. So I don't want to, I'm having fun with you here, but it's your job to see where that goes so that you will know whether anything should go that way or not.
That's right.
Because if you don't know what that is.
I think we figured that part out.
It's fascinating that we're talking about this at Comic-Con with this crowd, because this is a crowd of people that I don't think have all felt normal most of their lives. This is the misfits. Yes. And the innate problem we have in our minds, that I have when I hear that, is I love the variety and variability of the human experience.
Yeah. So let me just add an argument to it. So, we know that the sun will die out eventually, and we got to leave this planet or the species will end, right? And so now think about going to Mars or going to other planets. It's going to be much more energy efficient if you have smaller individuals than larger individuals.
He's still on it. I thought we moved on a little bit off of that.
The problem is when the smaller people die, they won't provide as much protein for the other small people. As long as we're going all the way.
Maybe that's why in so many of the alien movies, the aliens are little walking creatures. You ever noticed that?
That's true.
Yeah. Maybe they're onto something.
They're just saving energy.
All right, so Matthew, both of you are familiar with the gene editing that's been going on lately.
With CRISPR.
CRISPR, yeah. Which is an acronym. Let me get this acronym right. Clustered, regularly interspaced, short palindromic.
Restitution?
Repeats. CRISPR. Yeah. So the future of CRISPR, we ought to be able to go in and genetically augment the body, putting him out of business because this boy makes stuff in his garage, and you go into the body and augment it that way. So my hope for that is the following. Okay? Wheels.
I've started a thing.
No, here's why I don't think wheels are an option. Because in all experimentations of nature, the tree of life has not come up with wheels. Okay? But in principle, we should have access to any feature that exists in any other living thing.
Right.
In principle. So for example, if you have a wounded warrior back from missing a limb, you find some gene in the newt that regenerates a limb. You graft that or whatever. I'm just making this up, but how far-fetched is that when you know there are other vertebrates in this world that can regrow a limb?
That's awesome.
And so I'd like to think that we would have access to all of the benefits of 4 billion years of nature's experiment on its own. is that a fair hope that I can put in the hands of a CRISPR expert?
Yeah, that's right. So there's sort of embryonic stem cell research, for example, for regeneration, so they can become any kind of cell in your body. And then CRISPR for gene editing. So they're already using this to edit out, say, HIV, to make an embryo more HIV resistant, for example. So.
And to be clear, we're talking in a I mean, I know politics run the gamut, but we're talking in a fairly similar, I think, political spectrum in this crowded Comic-Con. But what about if someone can edit genes out? I mean, as soon as somebody said they thought they'd isolated a gene for homosexuality, people were calling them saying, how do I make sure my unborn child does not have this?
Right.
So there's a whole ethical frontier.
Designer babies.
Yeah, designer babies.
Yeah, desire babies. So what's going on in your, because you are also affiliated with the philosophy department.
That's right.
At NYU. So that means you're just a deep thinker about all of this. So where does that go in the future?
So we have to make an ethical decision about where to draw the line. And my own view is that.
But why is there always a line? Why can't it be just a spectrum?
It could be.
It could be a
vague.
flaw in how we even pose the question.
Yeah.
When you say, let's draw the line.
Yeah.
Maybe by not drawing a line, you embrace everything and all nuances on all sides of the line itself.
That's
But where do you draw the line? Humans are simple, and we
Where
want
do
to
you
talk
draw the
about
line for the
things.
spectrum?
So.
I mean, where's the line that I'm going to ignore? That's what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah. So for the, we need to make a decision. Thank you. Make a decision about how to sort of do designer babies. And what I think is that, earlier I mentioned this thing about fundamental capacities. And so I think we can draw a line, one line can be drawn there, where we have to make sure that whatever child we create has to have all the fundamental capacities.
I see. So that's the basic model still has to be intact.
That's right.
Right. When you get the car, it should have all four wheels and two axles, maybe.
Now suppose I like the basic model of the car, but I just want a leather interior.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so I would like a child who has a certain type of hair or a certain kind, like, basically, you know, like you have a bunch of black parents with little white, blue-eyed babies, or you know, Madonna.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, so race, for example, doesn't affect our fundamental capacities. So
Speak for yourself. I don't know about your life. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So by that I mean sort of like things like being able to move around, being able to think, being able to hear, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's why it's wrong to try to, to edit out genes.
Okay, but again, I'm not ever talking about, I want to talk about enhancement rather than subtraction of whatever might have been there. Mm-hmm. So if I could go in and edit a gene, if we find such a gene, that gives you high propensity to great piano playing. Because I like the piano, and I invested in one in the household, and it's in the nursery now. So should I be prevented from doing that?
I don't think so. I think you should be allowed to do that.
Okay, so what's interesting is, so Richard Dawkins, when posed with that question, he said, that's probably more humane to do that than force a kid to take piano lessons for 10 years.
Exactly.
See, but the way I feel about that is you should be able to do that. I agree with you, but it should only be within what's in your particular gene line. So for instance, if there is a propensity for playing the piano somewhere in your gene line, it's in there somewhere, it just wasn't passed to you.
This is the movie
It's like
Gattaca.
a switch you turn on.
It's a switch you turn on.
This
So
is
you
the
should be
movie
able to-
Gattaca, where they say, we're not creating some other you. We're
making
getting
the
the
best you.
of all genetic pools between you and your mate. And that's what we're putting in. But you know what in one of them, a person played the piano and it was really beautiful. And when they were done, they had 6 fingers on each hand.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Genetically
That's
encoded.
right, because she had that gene and they activated it so she could play songs that nobody else could play
Right.
with 6 fingers.
6 fingers on each hand.
Oh my God, I want 6 fingers so bad right now.
Then you have to learn to count in base 12. Yes, are you prepared for that? Yeah.
But we started this discussion about gene editing by talking about enhancements to a basic model, but this presupposes
Well, I just got to go there for a second.
Yeah.
Of course, our timekeeping is base 12.
You're correct.
We get to 12 and then we start over again.
Yeah.
Because base 10, you get to 10 and start over again. So base 12 is not all that. Babylonians had a little bit of that in them. They were base 60 and base 12 divides easily into 60.
You're the only dude I know who bring up Babylonians and math at the same time.
So what were you saying? Go ahead.
I was saying that when we talk about enhancing a basic model, this presupposes that humans as a species could potentially decide upon what a basic model is. And I think that sounds possibly like folly. I can imagine every iteration of weird, bizarre, messed up ideas about what constitutes a basic model of human.
Did he say you?
Wheels.
Wheels.
Yeah, wheels.
Yeah, so
I hope I've really started a thing here.
Just to close out this segment, let's take this another level, because we were talking about what we can do physically, but how about sort of intellectually? And then there's the notion that we would sort of upload your brain into the cloud, and then you have the power of the world's informational resources at the disposal of your physiology. Are you worried about that as an ethicist?
So a lot of people are talking about uploading minds in order to survive, especially in light of robots, sort of artificial intelligence.
Especially the robots that he gives guns to in
Yeah.
his book. Yeah. Yeah.
My view is that we're not going to be able to survive uploads because so the way uploads work is you make a copy of your mental content and then you upload it to the cloud, right? So now imagine that we have a bio Neil and then we have a digital Neil. We uploaded the digital Neil. Which one is you? Is the digital Neil you? No, right? You're still bio Neil.
I would like to think so.
Right.
That's right.
And so that's not you. So we can't survive the upload process. So even if we were to, say, kill you as we upload, that's still not you, the digital Neil. And another way to...
But if it has an exact replica
Yeah.
of every neurosynaptic,
Yeah.
Exactly.
biochemical, electric phenomenon going on in my head,
Right.
why is not that me?
Because you're presupposing that we'll never be able to pinpoint what is consciousness. Because once we pinpoint what is consciousness as a function of the brain,
As I think, therefore I am, sense of consciousness.
why wouldn't we be able to upload that?
Well, no, so I think we can clone, make a
Because I was
copy.
me before I had my brain today.
Yeah.
I was me 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
40 years ago.
Yeah.
59 years ago. I was me, okay? So to say it's not me because it's different,
Yeah.
I think Chuck is onto something.
Yeah.
You just don't know yet
Yeah.
where that sort of conscious thing is. There it is.
Yeah.
Now, if I put that in somebody else, that person becomes Adam.
This is the subject of one of my all-time favorite philosophical essays by Daniel Dennett called Where Am I and Where Was I? They're both in the collection The Mind's Eye, one of the most important books to young me. Yeah. And they do this exact thing. He makes a copy of himself, and he can flip the switch between his own brain and the copy and never notices the difference. And while he's writing the story, he says, actually, I haven't flipped that switch in a long time. Let me flip it now. Oh my God, I'm so glad you flipped that switch. And it turns out that at some point the two brains diverged. And now the question is, which one is Dan Dennett? Now they're having their own thoughts and they're gathering their own information on two separate tracks. So where is the consciousness?
That's right.
That's pretty cool. I love it.
So your only answer
I was
is
enthralled.
your only answer is right. I mean,
No, so
so just admit
Yeah.
we don't understand consciousness yet, so you can't upload the consciousness.
So I don't think we need to solve the problem of consciousness in order to understand, in order to see that the upload is not us, right? So if we make an exact replica of you, and then we just create it right here.
When you say you mean an exact replica of his neuronal structure.
Neuronal structure and everything.
Okay.
And we just put it
That's
right
a word,
here.
neuronal?
Right? Yeah.
Wow.
I think so, right?
And we just
It
put it
is
right
now.
here, right? That wouldn't be you. right?
Okay, so
the
I'm
fact
intrigued.
that it's a full copy.
In that
like a
spirit,
perfect copy.
Twins are identical,
Yeah.
but they're not each other.
Yeah, they're not exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're not each other. They're not in philosophy, there's this term. It's called numerical identity. So qualitatively, you might be exactly the same, but numerically, you're different.
So I just think one day we'll figure out what it is that makes you. Because I think, disturbingly perhaps, I think too much about the fact that every morning I wake up and I'm me. I'm not somebody else. How is that? What has stayed in me overnight so that I'm still me?
Phrasing.
No, because you can ask. Wait, so Chuck, so there's a. Because I wonder if in the limit, maybe I'm not me and I don't know it. Because the act of becoming someone else, I'm that other person. And I wake up thinking that I lived continuously through it, but maybe the consciousnesses are occupying bodies nightly.
I had that same kind of thought, but I'm sorry, I was smoking weed.
I mean, have you ever really looked at your hand?
There's a universe in my thumb.
All right, we got to bring this segment to a close.
Clearly.
You've been listening to StarTalk Comic-Con Live.
Yeah.
60 years ago yesterday, Sputnik was launched, and ushering in the space age. And I don't think in America today we reflect on how batshit crazy the country went when that happened. We reacted like, oh my gosh, I guess science really is important. And technology really is important, not only for your health and certainly your wealth, but also your security. So maybe one day others will figure that out. You guys, of course, already know that.
How cool is that Russia launched a space probe and we went crazy, and today they launched a presidency and we're going crazy.
Yeah. Where Sputnik went beep, 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 and ours goes tweet, tweet, tweet.
Oh! Oh!
That's great.
Adam.
I got a fist bump from a comedian. I'm done tonight.
Adam's kicking it. You got your quota there, so we're good. Where are we going next?
I have
We
a
just got one more
Sputnik fact,
and
Neil.
and if we have time, I want to take some questions from the audience too. So, all right, you ready? Final segment here. We are live back at New York Comic-Con. StarTalk. Adam Savage, a Mythbuster, singular.
Former
Mythbuster, singular.
Yeah, no, it's a mouthful.
And we have Matthew Liao. Did I pronounce that correctly? Yes, a professor of bioethics at New York University, co-appointed at the Department of Philosophy, deep thinker on all matters. And I love the title of your book, Why We Should Be Loved. Did I get that right?
The right to be loved.
The right to be loved.
You having the right to remember a title.
I know you got it. And Chuck, we love you always. And you tweet at Chuck Nice Comic?
At Chuck Nice Comic, yes.
And Matthew, do you tweet?
Yes, at S. Matthew Liao.
S.
Matthew Liao.
Matthew Liao.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try this.
Don't try this. Not even don't try it at home, just don't try it at all. That's cold.
Your results may vary.
That's cold. That's cold. Let's take a look at what we might want to do if we augment ourselves for survival purposes, rather than just to have fun. Maybe, don't talk about little people again, okay? Don't even go there. So if you want to go, if we find out that space requires a certain kind of physiology,
Bioluminescence. I've been thinking about that the whole time. But wait, if I could augment humans for survival, I would allow our stomachs to digest cellulose.
Oh, that's the end of hunger.
Right.
End of hunger.
Boom.
Yeah. Cellulose has calorie content just like any other carbohydrate does, except we have no enzymes to dissolve it. But it could have alternative consequences, okay?
Like pieces of grass in our poop?
That
my
wouldn't
dog?
be the worst of the problem coming out of your butt. Because as you start digesting cellulose, the byproducts, the anaerobic byproducts are high in methane, for example. And so any room with this many people in it is an ignition risk.
Or a vital source of rocket fuel.
Yeah, okay. Depends how you look at it. But I agree. If you create an enzyme for the stomach that'll digest cellulose. And Matthew, any ideas about how we might take ourselves into the future so that we can survive on a tiny planet with gazillion people?
Yeah, so be more heat resistant, be able to absorb water better, water retention, oxygen, for example. Sort of.
Do you think we can? Again, it's in the animal kingdom. It's in the tree of life. Do you think we could ever become photosynthetic? Do you think we can ever create photosynthesizing skin?
Like Avatar.
Or tentacles.
Yeah.
Wait. Were the Avatarians photosynthetic?
I think so, right?
I have no idea.
I think they are. Yeah, they sort of get energy. I could be wrong.
Well, this would be the room to find the answer in.
No, they
Okay.
ate. They actually hunted and ate. So I don't know. They might still be, you know.
they were
I mean, aren't we to
photosynthetic.
some extent? Don't we absorb vitamin D through our skin?
We do.
Yeah, but you're not getting energy
Gotcha.
for your metabolism.
Gotcha,
No, that's
gotcha.
not him. Right. So,
That'd be a useful property to have.
right, you would eat less. I don't think it's enough surface area to drive the 2 million calories a day that you need.
Unless you're smaller.
Touche, sir. Touche.
He plays both sides of the fence.
You know this is Neil's show, right?
And just to be clear, 2,000 food calories is a capital C. That's 1,000 physics calories. And so 2,000 food calories is 2 million calories. That's,
What?
Yeah.
Really?
yeah, you didn't know that?
No. Is that like the fudging that they do where the chocolate milk says secretly 5 servings?
Yeah, that's a different thing going on. Yeah, so 1 calorie to raise 1 gram of water 1 degree Celsius, that's, okay. So 1 food calorie is 1,000 of those.
Oh.
Yeah.
So as a measurement of heat, is that what you're saying? Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just, it slipped out, I'm sorry. But we can go back to food calories if we want. So that would be one thing you might put in the physiology.
Yeah.
Anything else? Wings, ooh. Okay, but if you read my tweet, so wheels, yeah.
They see
So
me
here's the
rolling.
thing. Would you, I got a good one for you, all 3 of it.
Okay.
If you could have wings at the expense of having hands with an opposable thumb, would you?
No.
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 Yeah,
You
very
ever see
cool.
a bird try to turn a doorknob? It is not pretty. Oh, okay, she said get rid of doorknobs.
Okay, yeah, just get rid of doorknobs.
That's her.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, just because there's no example of life on Earth where they have 4 limbs plus a set of wings. You got to give something up to get your wings, as was accurately done in the dragon in Game of Thrones. Yes. Yeah, you saw it moving along.
That's how they walk, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't notice it? You didn't read my tweet? I had a whole set of tweets on this. Where were you?
You presuppose that I can read, Neil.
This is Neil. You are the physical embodiment of the word actually.
No, not to. No, I think I
I mean
people
that in the highest.
No,
praise.
you don't. Not even. So tell us, in the future, what is the laboratory of the future for the superhero of the future? If you're going to go beyond Batman, Superman today, can you dream this up? Is it all biology rather than physical toys?
I think it's going to have to be both biology and physical toys because we keep on enhancing our ability to use technology. And if there's one thing that's consistent about humans is we don't think about it before we do it. I mean, it's in our nature. Oh, new thing, let's try it out and see how wrong it can go. Oh, wow, that wrong. Okay, let's keep on going.
Unless it killed you, then you get the Darwin Award. Yes? Okay.
Or at best, the Ig Nobel Prize.
The Ig Nobel Prize, right. So Matthew, what is the future laboratory? Is it all biology, CRISPR, gene editing, do you think?
I think it's going to have to be mixed, right? Sort of a bit of biology, a lot of computing, AI, artificial intelligence, and hybrid, right?
In this
Kinda
crowd,
like
you don't have to
hybrid
say
cars.
AI is artificial intelligence. You realize this. Okay.
Are you afraid of AI?
Are they smaller?
They're distributed widely. So I am scared of AI. I think that at some point, they already beat the world's best Go player last year, and they're going to get way smarter. And at some point...
And by the way, it beat the world's best Go player with an ingenious strategy that had never been previously imagined by humans.
Right.
So it wasn't just doing what humans do, but better than other humans.
That's right.
Get ready for your robot overlord.
So that's going to
Going to be sweeping the robot's floor.
Yeah. So that's going to be one of the biggest issues that we're going to have to face is there are going to be these really super intelligent beings that are not human, and how are we going to survive in that
So
context?
does that put him out of business making stuff? Because everything he makes is controlled by the human that wears the suit.
Oh, I'll still be making stuff. It'll just be for our robot overlords. I'll have those bearings done by Tuesday, M17545.
No, it'd be funner if the AI said, "Call me Freddy."
Call me Freddy, little man.
So, Chuck, are you afraid of AI?
You know, I'm afraid of so many things. I actually think that that I'm not afraid now. I'm afraid of the person who will actually free AI, because I think that we will never give AI the ability to make the kind of decisions that we won't let it, because we're in control. At some point, though, there will be a singularity, and either someone will come along and cause that, or the machine itself will go, "Hey, you know what? You ain't the boss of me." And that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
Well, see, this is America. I can kick it in I can unplug the machine, I'm thinking.
Okay, but as an AI, I kind of anticipated that.
I bought all the AA batteries. You're screwed, human.
Give me a final reflection on this evening. What do you have?
I think of AI, in one sense, I'm really scared of it. In another sense, it might be, look, we are already a colony in which 99% of the cells in our body are not human in origin. We are a biome, we are a colony. And it may be that the goal of biology is to create ever larger sentience. It might be that our planet, that Gaia really is an overall intelligence, and the singularity is simply humans' extension of their consciousness to the size of a planet.
An AI planet. AI planet. Matthew.
But you got to remember, he's working for the overlords.
Yeah, he just admitted that earlier. And then, Matthew, what do you have?
Yeah, so one of the issues is going to be whether we are going to survive into the future, right? That's the identity question. But another issue is going to be whether humans will survive. So we might survive as sort of in cyborgs or other forms, but the humanness might not survive. So we might have to make a choice between us surviving and humans surviving in the future.
Whoa.
Damn.
I don't even know if I understood what you just said, but it sounded really deep. Do we survive or do the humans survive?
Well, he is smaller.
Chuck, any reflections?
I'm just really looking forward to tiny people.
My job is done.
Me too.
So, when I look over the
And
last...
wheels.
And wheels. When I look over the last several centuries since the Industrial Revolution, and you see machines replace human physiology and animals for mechanical work, and we adapted to that pretty well. Few people lost their job, others gained jobs. Societies grew, economies grew, productivity grew. The IT revolution saw the exchange of human intellectual, computational powers with that of a computer, as well as mechanical abilities with robotics. And so we seem to survive that pretty well. Robots make our cars. It makes almost everything that we care about. And no longer is it, well, this is handmade. You say, I don't want that. It probably has flaws. You know, we're in an age where a machine-made thing mostly is better than a handmade thing. In most cases, that wasn't how it was way back when I grew up, but that's the world that we've created for ourselves. And so when we think of what machines can do, your lifeblood, that next transition, I think, is what cyber can do, what genetics can do. That is, I think, the next evolution of this, what can it do for me lately? And I am fearless of AI for the following reason. I don't see people making humanoid robots. That's not what we have done. If you look at old shows from the 50s and 60s, and they had robots, and then they have the robot to drive the car. No, the car is the robot now. You don't make a robot to drive your car. So our usage of not only the machines, but the AI that's a part of it is very specifically tasked for exactly what we need, when we need it, and why we need it. And so as we go into the future, I see our lives being transformed, but not because AI has become our overlord, but because we actually, yes, I know those risks that we face as well, but I see a future where AI serves us the way machines and computers have served us to this day, and perhaps we carry forward into the future the wisdom necessary to do right by AI, lest AI get really pissed off and decide that Earth is better off without us all. That is a cosmic perspective. You've been watching StarTalk at Comic-Con, New York City. Adam Savage, Matthew Lau, Chuck Nice. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a production of StarTalk. We are here at the Javits Center. You've been a great crowd. Thank you for coming. I think we're out of time, so there's no, I think we, okay, how about three, two questions. I would take two questions. Two questions. Okay. Right there, yes, right there. Third row, yes, go. We've got a microphone coming to you in 3 seconds. 2, 1, speak.
Okay.
And try not to mention wheels or little people.
God damn it.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So I was wondering, as we have more human augments and everything like that, you know, sorry to do this, but like little people on wheels. At what point would you say maybe either we don't become humans at all? Would that be like a bad thing or neutral, or would it just be pure evolution in a way?
Love that question.
That's a good question.
Matthew.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying at the end.
Where's the line?
Yeah, exactly? Where do we draw the line? And we have to make a choice about whether we want to preserve this humanness. And some people are going to say, you know, I'm happy with my human form. I'm going to, you know, just like, like some people say, I don't need to carry an iPhone around, right? And then there are other people who
Nobody
say,
says that, by the way. But go on. Yeah.
And then there are other people who said, give me the latest gadgets. And so they will be happy to leave that body. But it's going to be an individual decision. It's going to be a societal decision. So.
Okay, one last question, just on the aisle. Yes, right there. Yes. You send it back. Yes, you. Yes. We have the microphone. Did he keep the microphone? Oh, he's right here. Give it to her. Yes, go. Go.
So I have a genetic disorder that causes me, since the age of 14, intense pain. And that has, in a large part, I feel, shaped my personality and how I empathize and everything like that. So my thought was, in listening to you speak, is if for something you could go through and take away the rotten parts of my genetic disorder and keep the good parts, I certainly don't look my age, how would that affect, who I am today? Would I become, lose that empathy, not just lose what makes me, but like how would that affect, everything?
That's a great question. So earlier I mentioned this deep brain stimulation. So people use it for Parkinson's disease where they have a lot of shaking. And it turns out that there's a side effect of deep brain stimulation, which is it makes you really more outgoing and happy when you turn it up. And so some people are, some people have to make trade-offs. So when they turn it up, they have sort of more shaking, less shaking, but it also changes their personality. And so sometimes they don't want that personality, and so they'll turn it back when they say stop, like sort of over dinner, they'll turn it back so that they can return to their, sort of their old self. And so that's a choice that people make.
But can we also say that without her disability, she would be a different person? Not a lesser or greater person, just a different person than she is today. So we are all what we are as a product of what we have experienced.
Definitely,
and what we are physically, genetically, our height, our weight, our body, our looks, that defines everything.
Nature and nurture.
Nature and nurture, yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, so what she said was because of her condition, she's lost 1.5 inches over the last year, so she's on her way to becoming the little people that she...
It's green to be small.
Come here, give me a hand.
They'll be able to fly together in one seat.
Exactly.
The last questions of the night. What's your name?
I'm Skylar.
Hi, Skylar. What's your question?
My question is cellulose isn't digestible, why is the point of eating vegetables?
Whoa! Drop the mic. One hand, go. Thank you. Come on down.
Amazing.
Amazing. That's it.
Clearly, it's a conspiracy.
Okay, so the cellulose in vegetables, as I understand it, I'm not a nutritionist, but from what I've read, it's to make you poop better, okay? I don't know that it has any other role in our physiology.
That's about...
That works for me.
Yeah, but what it would mean is if we could digest cellulose, then the calorie content of your salad would go up immensely. And you'd be judging whether you had the salad or whether you had the baked potato in your calorie budget for that meal. So that would completely
Is that even a
change
question?
how we eat. Plus, if you're hungry, you just go out and graze on the grass. That's all for us tonight. Thank you all for coming. Love you.